Welcome, and thank you for joining for another whiskey review. Today, Dustin, we're going to do a special review. Every once in a while, we bring out top fives. Today, we're going to do our top 5 Islas under $100 as it stands here in 2021 in the United States of America. You heard that right, under $100. People say, I don't drink, regular shelf or whiskeys. I do.
You used to.
I still drink them. I still have them in my bar. We still have these whiskeys at our bar.
Yep.
If you love Islay whiskeys like we love Islay whiskeys, these are our top 5 Islay whiskeys under $100 today in the U.S. Dustin, number 5. Port Charlotte 10, 50% ABV. Dustin, why do we love it?
It's 50%. It's a 10-year-old age statement, and it is part of Port Charlotte's incredible line of peated, beautiful farm-raised whiskeys.
Islay whiskeys, yeah. This one's a great one. To me, it comes off a little bit thinner than some of the more heavily peated whiskeys. That 50%, man, great feel, great ABV, really enjoyable whiskey. And this is one of the whiskeys I can really have when it's cold outside and really transitions nice into the springtime.
Yeah, just easy drinker, smooth mouthfeel, texture.
All right, so around here in Columbus, Ohio, what does this go for now, 2021? Q4.
I want to say you're looking at 65 for it. It's a little on the pricier side for these bottles, but I think it's great.
Good value, especially here in 2021. You're talking 60, 65 bucks out the door after tax for a 50% ABV, heavily peated Islay whiskey delivered right to your local store. Dustin, need me say more?
Nope.
Number 4. Kielhollman Machier Bay, 46% ABV. Dustin, did I say that right?
Yes.
I never say that one right, but I tell you what, every time...
Machier Bay, I hear it a little different every time somebody says it, so...
Every time I see this, though, at the store, I'm thinking, that's good tasting whiskey.
Yeah.
Dustin, what do you love about this whiskey?
All right, so you got just a little sherry cask finishing. Now, this one does happen to be a pick, which a little different than the regular standard release, but they're basically the same.
Yeah, but in general, the ones you'll find at your local store.
They're like 85% bourbon, 15% sherry.
Kiss.
They are, again, they're farm raised. I mean, this is local product, and it just comes off as this unique, different experience in Islay. And it's just, every time I go back to it, I think, this is interesting, this is exciting. And no, it's not a wow whiskey, Mike, but it is a quality whiskey for, again, around that $60, $65 price range, depending on where you find it.
Every Kielhollman I've ever had, that's the exact word I use to describe these whiskeys, is quality whiskey. It's not mind-blowing, not amazing whiskey, but very much like Ardbeg, at least age statement Ardbegs, you're getting at least 46% ABV, and you're getting quality barley, a quality process, and if you like Islay whiskeys, this one absolutely will not.
Yeah, and that's why our first 2 whiskeys are known for, again, these local barleys they're getting. Now, I don't know if all these are local and farm raised. Some of them may be shipped a little bit, but again,
mixes.
These are much more of that like classic, earthy, barley forward whiskeys, which I really, really appreciate.
If you appreciate artisan whiskeys in general, these are 2 of the smaller distilleries, and they do a lot of things right. It's very, very good distillery to support, in my opinion. And that still comes at number 4 on our list. Dustin, number 3. Laphroaig 10 cask strength. That distinction. Now, Dustin, it wouldn't take long to get to what I've always referred to as the best bang for your buck in Scotch.
Yeah.
And that is the annual release of Laphroaig 10 cask strength. This is batch 11. Here in Columbus, they usually come out and are mispriced every year at $55. It's an incredible buy, but normally they should be about $70 wherever you're at.
They're getting closer to 90 these days, Mike. I hate to say.
Yeah, they are getting a little bit expensive, but definitely come underneath that $100 mark. And even though they're slightly seasonal, you should be able to find these in most places. Laphroaig 10 just amped up to an absolute 79. I won't even say 10 or 11. I mean, this thing, the first time I had it, I said, wow.
Yeah, it is a punch.
It is a punch. If you can drink this whiskey, you can probably drink it.
Like, I've got that batch 12 at home, that's 60%. I mean, wow.
I tell you what, I remember the first time I had this and thought to myself, I could probably drink gasoline after this.
Yeah.
It is that aggressive of a whiskey. But if you love Laphroaig, you want to see what the difference between 43% and wow is, man, try one of these. Usually 58 to 60% ABV, just absolute peat monsters.
Yeah, I mean, again, I already know this, Mike. We're going to get hate for not having this number 1.
Sure.
Because it's cask strength and it's the only cask strength whiskey here.
Why would I not value cask strength over?
And I just come back to this always with this particular bottle is I don't think the whiskey inside of it is that good. I think the cask strength is what makes it so enjoyable to drink. It's
a little unrefined at 10 years old comparatively. Say other Islay whiskeys, but I tell you what, it is big.
It is bold. It's fun to drink.
You will never forget trying this whiskey. And if you like peated whiskey, let me tell you this: if you like peated whiskey, you're about to find out. You either are going to love this whiskey and love Islay, and you can have anything on the island, or you're going to go to something else.
I think the Pete heads in general are going to be like, that should have been your number one. And you know what?
Maybe it should have been.
All 5 of these are so close for me. I think there's really only 3 bottles here where I'm like, this one's clearly better than the rest, and these 2 are probably less.
Yeah, it was in a short conversation. The bottles that I always have different vintages of, so if I'm willing to collect it, you know.
It's
a pretty good whiskey. That's why it earned the number 3 spot on our list. Dustin, number 2. Lagavulin 16, 43%, chill filtered and not natural colored. Everything I hate about whiskey, Dustin. Why did it make number 2 on my list? Well, first of all, it's Lagavulin. It was my first scotch that I said, oh, this is what I'm drinking going forward.
Yeah.
This is also what it is. It's still one of the best nosing whiskeys right out of the bottle that you can just buy, period.
I was literally getting ready to just pull the cork off this one and just let the nose come out because, man, I'm telling you, you smell this whiskey from the other side of the room. If I poured a Lagavulin 16, I was sitting here drinking it, and you walked in your place, and you're like, you've got to do the Lagavulin.
Yeah, it's that aristocratic smoke. I always say that with Lagavulin reviews. And as soon as you open this bottle and smell, you're like, yeah, that's aristocratic smoke. This smells absolutely stately and wonderful.
Yeah, and it's beautiful sherry still on these bottles, even the ones they're coming out with today.
Amazing.
It seems like everybody's quality of sherry is going down. Mm-hmm. And Lagavulin, we've had comments about some of their special releases, but the 16, they're still finding good casks.
You know what? That's the nice thing about how always having mediocre casks in the 16. When everyone else's quality went down, it feels like Lagavulin stayed the same. Maybe that's the case. I don't know. Now, I will say this. It's still at 43%, comes off thin on the palate to me. There's no doubt about that. But if it's your first time getting into Islay, this is where you should start.
Yeah.
If you want to try a peated whiskey, the 43% will make it a little bit easier on the palate. The sherry cask maturation on this Lagavulin 16 will take it a little easier as far as just accepting peat on your palate. And I mean, the smoky aftertaste, if you like it, you're going to love it in that whiskey.
You know, for the connoisseur, yes, it's thin, but the nose is incredible still. Mm-hmm. And the finish on this one is still really, really good for this price point. Mind you, the price point on these Lagavulins is confusing. Oh, it depends on where you are, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, it goes from...
You can find it from 55 to 130.
About 67 and 91
but
here in
recently,
Columbus,
Diageo did actually lower their prices on these bottles here in the States. Mm-hmm. One of the few distilleries to do that. Mm-hmm. And so they are now consistently under 100 in most places, thankfully.
Let's not underscore the fact this is a 16-year-old whiskey.
Yeah.
This is by far and away the oldest whiskey that will be on our top 5 list. Again, we understand the problems with it. 43% ABV, mm-hmm. chill filtered, colored whiskey. See, I can't even say. I always want to say uncolored. Yeah. I can't even verbally get it out. It doesn't roll
hurts,
off the tongue.
It hurts it's almost offensive to like give such high praise to a whiskey that does everything the wrong way.
But I tell you what, it's great malt. It's wonderful whiskey. And if you're transitioning into an Islay whiskeys or just scotches in general,
Ron Swanson gets it too, man.
Man, this whiskey is a champ for a reason. It really is. This is why it's always good to go back to standard bottlings to see what you really loved about the distillery to begin with.
Yeah.
And still, every time I get a cask strength Lagavulin, what I initially start my process off of, does it smell as good as 16?
Yeah.
That's what earned the number 2 spot on our list. And finally, number 1. Ardbeg 10, 46% ABV. Dustin, a year ago I wouldn't have agreed that this was the number 1 Islay under 100 on this list until I had it blind at a whiskey tasting in Chicago last year. I rated it the highest whiskey of the day. Once I take away my dislike for the pomp and circumstance of Ardbeg, apparently it's really good whiskey. The classic Ardbeg 10, even at 46% ABV, is just a wonderfully crafted, almost perfect, basic 10-year-old Islay Scotch.
Yeah, I think we're going to get a lot of flack here again because we didn't pick the Ugadale. We didn't pick the Coy Brecken. And you know what, like sometimes I prefer drinking those, again, cask strength whiskey.
Great whiskeys. I've had 50 bottles of Ugadale.
Yeah, but you know what? They taste younger.
Oh,
they
absolutely.
taste less refined.
They are.
They are.
They are. They're younger whiskeys. They're whiskeys that are a higher ABV, not cask strength, but higher ABV. This one, to me, I wanted a higher ABV.
Yeah.
I would like it maybe slightly older, but everything this whiskey does beautifully. Again, you can taste the quality. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter if it's the distillate, the quality of the barley, the wind and the malt. It just tastes, especially again, when I tried it in a blind tasting, it really drove it home for me. Once I take away everything else, this is just quality whiskey.
Yeah, you don't take youthful notes. You don't get off-putting still notes. It's lemon, lime, beautiful peat. It's very earthy peat. It's not super smoky, which I know sometimes can be offensive to some, or just it comes. You just start thinking, oh, did they just char a cask? And that's not really
No,
not the
it's
malt.
very
This is-
tight.
Yeah, this is well-made malt that's been aged reasonably well, and it's just everything about it is just well done. And it's also like probably the most consistent whiskey I've ever had.
You know, I often when I drink this whiskey, you know, of course it's vanilla, lemon, and lime and smoke, and that Ardbeg smoke. To me, I've always oversimplified it as that. But once you really take time to deconstruct this whiskey, you realize the barley note on this is as quality as anything you'll find on Islay. I'm talking Kielhollman, Brook-Laddie, even with the Octomores. Once you take time to focus on specifically the barley note on this one, I mean, you taste the craftsmanship in this whiskey. I don't know how they get this whiskey so right and so many of the others whiskeys so wrong.
Oh, their recent special editions. I mean, God.
But we can't let that skew our fact that they do produce one true gem.
And Mike, this is the cheapest bottle on the list.
I know. What does this bottle go for? $55?
It's around 50, 55, but every year I see these on sale as low as $42.
Yeah, 42,
every year I
46,
see around
something like
Christmas
that.
time, I see these on sale in the 40s. And I think, oh, it won't happen next year.
Every year.
And it just keeps happening. The price isn't going up for some reason. And while every other whiskey's going up in price, Ardbeg,
Just
your
a
tin
rock.
is staying in a great place.
Yeah, just a raw, great whiskey. Maybe it was better when they first came out in the early 2000s. It was still a very, very quality whiskey. So Dustin, don't tell me we don't like whiskeys. Islay whiskeys under $100. We like a bunch of them.
We
We
do.
have all these bottles. We still drink them. We've already reviewed them though, so I mean, who wants to hear the same thing twice?
Yeah, I mean, what are we gonna do? Like, I guess we do a versus maybe of a couple of
Sure.
these.
Maybe we'll do reverses. Tell us what you want to
Who
see
knows?
next. Maybe you have some ideas for our next top 5. Anyway, until next time, Dustin, more to the whistle, folks.
Happy drinking.
We'll see you then.